Thank you, Christy, and good morning, everyone. I'm genuinely pleased to be here today in the enlightened state of South Australia, which is the home to Australia's only producing uranium mines. And unsurprisingly, we have uranium projects in the Northern Territory, Queensland. We also have a large bitumen resource in Queensland, and also in Queensland we have a very large geothermal project in the Milingara Basin. Before I talk about the projects, we'll just have a brief overview of our corporate situation. We're a very small company, no debt, bit of cash, enough cash to fund us through this year. 500 million shares on issue. Directors own about 20% of the company, so we're well invested. And quite a tight share register, 43.5% in the top 20. I just want to talk a little bit about the global nuclear industry before I get on to our projects. Australia, unfortunately, is quite ignorant on the global nuclear industry and the uranium industry, even though we do have the world's largest uranium deposit here in South Australia at Olympic Dam. Olympic Dam's also the world's fourth largest uranium mine, so it's a very significant project. But apart from that, we don't really have much of a uranium industry here at all. There are 440 nuclear reactors operating in 32 countries currently, producing about 9% of the world's energy needs. Those reactors consume 66,000 tonne of uranium per annum, or in American speak, 150 million pounds of uranium. All the uranium mines in the world combined produce about 50,000 tonne a year of uranium. That's a deficit of 16 million tonne a year. That deficit has been in place for many, many years, but the nuclear industry has survived on massive stockpiles of uranium that were accumulated during the Cold War years and held in the United States, Russia, France and other nuclear powers. Those stockpiles have pretty much disappeared, and since 2022 the businesses that control the nuclear reactors, the utilities, who traditionally have held 5 years of uranium in reserves, are now reducing their stockpiles and buying less uranium because the price of uranium has started to go up. The problem that they're creating for themselves is that as their stockpiles diminish, in the US they're down to 2 years stockpile, in France they're down to 3 years, they're creating a problem for themselves because there isn't enough uranium production coming on stream globally. There's currently 65 new reactors under construction, mostly in China, but also in the US and in Western Europe. Those reactors will consume another 10,000 tonne a year of uranium, or 23 million pounds. There's 110 reactors in advanced planning and that are in the approval stage. That could be quite lengthy with nuclear reactors. It's a heavily regulated industry, but we'd expect those reactors to be coming on stream between now and 2035. That will require another at least 20,000 tonne of uranium. And nuclear power has been projected to grow by up to 300% by 2050. And that is a prediction made by a group of 140 companies supported by 31 countries and 14 of the world's largest banks, because they understand that for the world to go carbon free, nuclear energy is a critical part of that equation. The problem they have is these companies aren't involved in uranium mining as such. They are nuclear energy companies run by nuclear engineers. There is no way global production of uranium can increase by that much unless Australia is heavily involved. Australia controls or contains at least 1/3 of the world's known reserves, and that's without a decent exploration program being run in uranium, such as we've had in gold, base metals, lithium. We never had that in uranium, so there's a lot of uranium still to be discovered in this country. And that's the reason we moved to uranium. About 12 months ago, we started acquiring uranium projects. And that's what a small modular reactor looks like. There's a lot of those in development now. There's 80 different small modular reactor projects around the world. These are that new Ward reactor you can see there is French design. They're seeking approval to put 3 of those reactors into the Netherlands. The other reactor is the Rolls-Royce 480 megawatt reactor. They're seeking approvals now to build 3 reactors for utilities in the UK. They're about the size of a football field, very small footprint, and the designs of these reactors, the 4th generation stage of these reactors, is going to revolutionise the nuclear industry. The most advanced project we've acquired is the Oasis project in Queensland. Very high grade. It was first identified in 1973 with a regional airborne survey. It was drilled in 1977 and 78 by ESSO, who put over 50 drill holes into Oasis. They only drilled out a relatively small section. The Oasis project is contained in a block of rocks about 10 kilometres by 8 kilometres. It's an uplifted fault-bound block intruded by an Alaskite granite, and we've interpreted Oasis to be part of a very large, intrusive, uranium-rich system. It's only been, as I say, explored in one area, Oasis. We're going to drill Oasis out. We hope to have started by now, but unfortunately, Queensland's experiencing probably its wettest wet season for quite a few years, so I think our drilling will now be put off till May. But nevertheless, it is primed for a resource generation this year. I expect we'll have it at resource status by the end of this year. Most of the ESSO holes, well, they're 50 years old now, so we can't use them in a resource estimate. Glengarry went into Oasis. There was a little renaissance in uranium exploration around 2007, and a little company called Glengarry drilled 4 diamond holes to test the ESSO holes, and we have that core, and it did verify the ESSO data. So that Oasis is our first focus. We expect it does have world-class potential. If it does turn out to be an Alaskite intrusive project, it would make it similar to the Rossing project in Namibia. So they're the radiometric anomalies you can see on our tenements there. They follow a major north trending myelinite zone called the Lind myelinite zone. That's been the conduit for mineralisation from intrusive granites which have flooded the system during the late Ordovician period, mid-Silurian. There are multiple splays off the Lind myelinite zone that have only been lightly explored and never drilled, apart from the Oasis radiometric anomaly. Oasis was drilled because it actually crops out. So ESSO were able to walk in and they could see the uranium mineralisation outcropping. All the other structures are covered, soil covered. Radiometrics is only effective down to 5 metres, so once there's more than 5 metres of soil cover, transported soil cover, there's no radiometric anomaly. Quite a few of the uranium deposits in Australia don't have radiometric anomalies. Honeymoon doesn't, and Pamela, Angela in the Alice Springs area don't as well. So we have 4 projects in the Northern Territory. They they all have the same pedigree. They were discovered or identified in a 1999 airborne radiometric and magnetic survey conducted by Geoscience Australia. Only one of those projects was followed up post-1999. Geoscience Australia did a fair bit of work on the ground at the Douglas River project and at our Henbury project, but the Tobermory or Kedra projects haven't been touched for, 35 years, so 25 years rather. So these are all prospective for sandstone and unconformity style of mineralisation. The sandstone style is very much similar to the Kazakhstan style of ore bodies. Kazakhstan is the world's largest producer of uranium. They produce almost 45% of the world's supplies. Australia, even though we have the most uranium in the world, we only supply 7% of the world's uranium, and that all comes from the Olympic Dam. So these projects are similar to Kazakhstan. They have known sources of uranium, and these generally are intrusive granite ore bodies or granite intrusives that contain uranium, thorium and radioactive potassium, so they're quite hot rocks. And the weathering products from these granites end up in drainage channels. Those drainage channels then run into contact with carbonaceous basins, carbonaceous rocks, and that causes the uranium to precipitate out and concentrate into sandstone-hosted, sometimes roll-front, sometimes calcrete-hosted deposits. So the Douglas River project is drill ready. That's a 13-kilometre long anomaly. We have a structural corridor which sits on an unconformity, a regional unconformity, so it has potential at depths as well. But it's the uranium anomalies are well identified and they're drill ready. This project was going to be drilled back in 2011, and then the Fukushima accident happened and all exploration for uranium stopped, basically worldwide. So we'll be on the ground there. I think again in May we should be able to get on the ground and drill out these anomalous zones. The Henbury project, Geoscience Australia actually did a fair bit of work at Henbury, and there are numerous zones of ferricrete within broad radiometric anomalies. They've never been followed up on the ground. They've only been identified from airborne data, but the anomalism is pretty high. And the Amadeus Basin that hosts Henbury, of course, is hydrocarbon rich. So the geology is perfect. Alpha Torbanite project is a 28 million tonne bitumen resource in northern central Queensland. It's been our main project for the last 5 years. We've spent $7 million developing or testing and drilling the Alpha Torbanite. It's the highest grade oil shale deposit in the world, and the oil shale contains long chain hydrocarbons or asphaltenes that are primary bitumen hydrocarbons. It's, as I say, very high grade. 1 tonne of torbanite will produce 380 kilos of bitumen, and that's pretty high grade. So 500,000 tonne a year project to produce 200,000 tonne a year of bitumen. Now Australia imports all its bitumen from the mega refineries in Southeast Asia, so this project has a real value and could be Australia's first and only domestic supply of bitumen. We've spent $7 million there. There's $3 million back in grants. We've run a number of test programs. We're getting very close to defining the process route. It's a little complicated by the fact that we are processing hydrocarbons, so we have to be very cautious of emissions, and that's been the real bugbear, is to get that sorted. So the next program, we just finished a program at University of Jordan in the Middle East. The next program is to produce a bulk sample at Monash University in Melbourne, and that program will be starting very shortly, and I hope to have it wrapped up by the end of this year. I don't have time to talk about our geothermal project. It's the hottest rocks in the country. Again, defined by Geoscience Australia, that defined a massive thermal resource there. We are currently talking to a joint venture partner to come in. That'll require very deep pockets and probably a little expensive for us. That's all. I just want to stress, uranium is in structural deficit. The nuclear industry has a real issue here, and I believe that if Australia really gets involved and we start getting smarter governments, we've got a big opportunity here, and Greenvale's an early mover. Thank you.